Hello everyone, James Odle, Alphaspecter here with Graham Nolan today for a special edition episode of Sorta My Podcast, Tricon Special. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know that Tricon is in Huntington, West Virginia at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena on June 2nd, and ticket prices are $10 a person. Kids 10 and under get in free.
Normally, this is where we would tell you to find us on 20 different things under 20 different names, and it was all a little confusing. But good news, everyone! The rebranding has taken hold, so you can find Subject to Change Entertainment on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter, no Instagram yet, and back to you, Alphaspecter.
You can follow us on there, and Graham, is there anywhere that you'd like them to find you or look you up at?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I have a Twitter account, but I don't really know how to use it well. Also, I have a website, grahamnolan.com, and sunShineStateComics.com.
Great. Well, let's just go ahead and get cracking into this. One of the first things that I like to try to ask is, as a kid, what was the first comic that you remember reading that, set you on the path of comic books?
The first one that, I had comics growing up as a kid in and out. I was really a monster kid early on. I was into monster movies and monster magazines and even, giant monster comics, like the reprints of the Jack Kirby stuff. And Western comics, too. I traded a bunch of my baseball cards for Western comics back in the early 70s. But the one that really got me going was in the 6th grade, a teacher brought in a stack of comics for recess, for the kids to read at recess. And it was a copy of the Justice League. It was one of those 60-cent giants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's like 114, 112, somewhere around there when they were doing those 60-cent giants. It had a guy holding a scale of justice and the Justice League about to fight the Injustice Society or whatever they were called. I forget.
Okay.
But that was the one that really that got me going.
Okay. So, kind of going on that, what would you say, your favorite comic series that you were reading as a kid was? Or, even today, what's your favorite comic series to read?
I don't have a favorite. I mean, I had favorites when I was a kid. If I had to look at my biggest collections when I was little, there were Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Thor, and the Fantastic Four.
Awesome. So growing up, going through school and everything, when did you start realizing that you wanted to be an artist?
When I got that Justice League comic. Because I was drawing up till then, drawing monsters and other junk. And then when I got that comic, I started, copying the superhero stuff. And I knew right then that's what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, funny story, though. Let me just expand on it for you. My mom was a teacher, and she was very artistic and was very encouraging when I told her that I wanted to be an artist. My dad, on the other hand, was a cop. He was a homicide detective in New York. And I had two cousins that had master's degree in art, and I told my dad I wanted to be this cartoonist. He didn't get it. And he says, well, why don't you learn a trade? Be a plumber or an electrician or something like that, because you got two cousins. One of them's flipping pizzas and the other one's laying brick. He was very pragmatic, and he didn't quite get the artistic drive that's there, and that need that I had. So I obviously did not listen and went down my own path. But he came around to it later on,
Well, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of us that can definitely appreciate you following your passion, with everything that you've done over the years. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people know you mainly for being one of the co-creators of Bane.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us what was some of the inspiration, lead up to coming up with that character?
Well, Bane was a story-driven character. Denny had wanted to do this Nightfall storyline, and they needed a villain to basically precipitate, to get it in motion. And one didn't exist in Batman's rogues gallery at the time. Batman had smart villains, and he had powerful villains, but he didn't have a really smart, powerful villain that could pull off the whole backbreaking thing. So, the writers got together, and Denny and Chuck came up with a bunch of main ideas, and then Chuck fleshed most of them out. And then they contacted me to design the character based on the storyline that was going to be happening. And I looked towards Mexican luchador styling because Bane was going to be this child that raised in this, South American prison or Central American prison. Not sure where Penadora is. But I knew that if he was going to have a costume, which was, necessary, that it would have to be inspired by something from that region. And he was also Hispanic, so that was the main idea for the look.
So it was a collaboration between the writers who came to you with the idea, and you just kind of more or less like picked a spot that interested you and made a character around the locale.
No, there were specific needs for Bane because we knew he had to have venom injected into his head, and he had to have these ports to inject it. And I came up with the idea of the wristband thing and the belt that would hold, which I kind of ripped off from Steve Ditko, that would hold the venom in it. So a design is based, in this particular case, it's based on the story needs, and you have to have certain physical aspects that need to be addressed, like the venom port type thing.
Real quick, we'll take a break to hear the ad from our sponsors, Tricon.
Where is Odle at, man?
I don't know, man. He's always talking about how he needs to be out of here by a certain time. We make accommodations.
It's already 7:30.
Whoa! Guys, we had such a blast.
What are you talking about?
Did you just come out of the portal?
Yeah, I think we're skipping over that fact.
Oh, there's no time for that right now.
That was uncalled for.
Guys, Tricon.
Oh, okay. What is that? Where
Is that
where
a Comic-Con?
It is the Tri-State Comic Book Convention, June 2nd, Huntington, West Virginia, Big Sandy Superstore Arena.
Okay, well, these comic book conventions are always money pits, man. Can we really afford that?
No. This one is only $10 for admission. Kids under 10, get in free.
Wow.
Yeah.
But is it, okay, that cheap? It's got to be just like boxes of comics as far as the eye can see. Nothing really worth seeing.
No. We've got vendors, we've got artists, we've got some pretty stellar media guests.
Whoa.
There's going to be a cosplay contest. The winner just...
Who was it?
You got to be there to find out.
Well, let's get our tickets right now, then.
Come on, guys.
Let's jump in the time warp.
All right, we're back. So we were talking a little bit about Bane. So outside of that, what has been some of your inspiration for your art and your style over the years?
Well, that's something that evolves as you keep going. My initial inspirations were John Romita, Kurt Swan, John Buscema, Gil Kane, and then later on I started to pick up a lot of the strip guys' work and became interested in that kind of stuff. Guys like Frank Robbins and Roy Crane, and then Joe Kubert as well, Alex Toth. I was always drawn more towards the storytellers, the guys that had a really good flair for storytelling as opposed to flashy style.
So you were talking a little bit about the strip artists and all that. So what kind of pulled you into doing some of that kind of work?
You mean doing comic strip work when I was working for King Features?
Yeah.
Necessity. The comic book business was crashing around me. A lot of my editors were fired or changed jobs. And quite honestly, I didn't like the style of comics at that point. So I had published and I'd written, illustrated, and published my own comic called Monster Island because I wanted to do something my kids could read and that my friends could read as well on a different level. Basically an all ages comic in the truest sense of the word. So when I got done with Monster Island, I decided, well, I would try to pitch it as an adventure strip because the concept of it was a lot of it was based on Roy Crane's Buzz Sawyer. So I could visualize that as a really cool looking adventure strip. So I repackaged it and I sent it out to the syndicates, and they all said no, they can't sell a continuity strip to the newspapers anymore. It's just not possible. But they liked it, and the cartoon editor up at King Features called me and told me, yeah, I love it, can't use it. However, we do have an opening coming up on Rex Morgan, MD, which was a medical soap opera strip. So I had to decide, well, do I want to keep trying to pound my head against the wall in comic books, or do I want to try something new? So I decided I would try something new, and that's how I got into comic strips.
Okay, awesome. So I've seen you also did some work on the Phantom as well. That was also strip work?
Yep, that was also King Features, because when Jay Kennedy called me and said, hey, I got this feature called Rex Morgan, MD, I said, well, what about the Phantom? You have any openings there? Because that's what I really want to do. And he said, no, we don't have any openings there right now. I said, okay, so I'll work on Rex. 3 months later, I get a call from Jay saying, we got an opening on the Phantom. Do you want it? I said, yeah.
So you just kind of like bided your time, and it just kind of came to you.
Well, here's the moral of the story, kiddies. Ask and ye shall receive, Speak up. If I didn't say what I really wanted, then he wouldn't have kept me in mind when something did open up.
Awesome. So you've worked on several different characters. You've drawn quite a few different ones over the years. What have been some of your favorites, the ones that you've enjoyed the most?
Existing characters? Like at Marvel and DC type thing? Of course, Batman, one of my favorites, and Superman. As I mentioned before, they were two of my favorite comics as a kid, so I really enjoyed them. Fantastic Four. I love doing an issue of the Fantastic Marvel Adventures Fantastic Four. I love doing Metamorpho. That was a lot of fun. What else? So many. It's so long ago sometimes. Yeah.
Well, that's trying to look some things up. It was actually really hard to find more information about your works.
Why?
It just seemed like every search that I came to, like you just mentioned, you did work on Fantastic Four. For some reason, that never came up in any of my searches.
Huh. You go on Comic Book Database, it has everything listed.
I'm using the internet wrong. So, okay, a lot of characters that you grew up reading, you enjoy working on a lot. On the flip side of that, have there been any characters that you have maybe begrudgingly worked on, or you weren't into at the time?
Yeah, the X-Men. I was never an X-Men fan. I kind of liked the Kirby issues, I think he did 10 of them right in the beginning. But I was never into the X-Men, which I think it was a good thing, because when I got to do a bunch of X-Men Forever books, I didn't come in with preconceived ideas about what these characters are supposed to be. So I was sort of relaxed when I did them. And, there's a couple issues there. I think some of the best work I did over at Marvel, and happened to be characters that I really didn't have a lot of love invested in.
So what about characters that you haven't done yet? Are there any, like, at DC, Marvel, like anywhere that you've really wanted to take a crack at, you just haven't yet?
Tarzan, Doc Savage, and then there's ones I want to do a whole run on. I would love for Chuck and I to do a run on the Fantastic Four.
I think that would be great. I love Chuck's writing. The early Nightwing stuff was some of my favorite stuff growing up. So, and with Fantastic Four finally making a comeback, I think that would be awesome to see.
I agree, but I don't think it's going to happen.
So, as far as companies go, I know this can tend to be kind of a touchy subject with some people. Who do you prefer working for? Where do you find the most enjoyment?
The company that pays on time and leaves me alone and doesn't micromanage me.
Fair enough. That's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd say that's probably what anyone would want and ask for.
I mean, if you're going to hire creative people, then make sure you do your homework, hire the right ones, and then get out of their way.
Yeah.
Let them do their work.
So what are some future projects that we can look forward to seeing coming from you?
Well, I have a kind of a secret project coming up that's going to have a Kickstarter campaign that'll be kicking in May. around May 15th. Can't say too much about it right now, but fans of my work, I think, will be really excited about it.
Okay, so you recently just jumped back on the Bane train with a new comic here recently, right?
Yeah, Bane Conquest.
Okay, can you give us a little bit of info about what led up to that and, what we can be seeing from that?
Well, it's been going steady now for almost a year, and we're coming up on the last issue. In fact, I'm working on the last issue right now. It was a 12-issue maxi series that put Chuck and I together on our most famous creation. So we kind of gave the fans the Bane that they remember and the Bane that they've been wanting. Really smart, really vicious, that kind of Bane. So like I said, it's been going on for 12 issues. It came about, we made a pitch as a Batman series to DC, and Dan DiDio said he wanted it to be more Bane-centric and kind of like establish Bane as like the Doctor Doom of the DC universe. And so with that edict, we reworked the proposal, pitched it back, and we came up with the Bane Conquest.
Now, can we expect... I'm a hardcover junkie myself. Do you think we will get to see this get the hardcover treatment?
That I don't know. I know I think in September it's scheduled to be released as a trade paperback, but whether they collect it as a hardcover, I don't know.
Well, those of you that have been reading it and following it up to this point, you can look forward to that last issue coming soon. And those of you who haven't, definitely grab whatever issues you can find, or even, wait for the trade to come out and enjoy it in one fell swoop.
Absolutely. So, everybody's got different reading habits,
Oh, absolutely. There's people I know that they'll wait for the next trade to come out for a series, or some people wait for the bigger collected editions before they'll jump on.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, if the trade sales are very good, it's more than likely that they'll do it as they'll do a hardcover. So if you really like hardcovers and want a hardcover, you should buy the trade and then just upgrade it.
Personally, that's generally what I tend to do. So I can't recommend people to do that more because, as you said, that's how we get the bigger editions.
And then you always get all the extra goodies in the hardcover too, designs. And,
oh yeah, that's why I love the hardcovers, getting to see those, like the sketches and the unfinished work.
Right, the background of the creation.
Yeah. Okay, so going on more about some of the comic strips that you've been doing, you have a humor strip as well, right?
Yes. This is probably my favorite thing to work on. Of all the stuff I work on over the years, this is probably my favorite. It's called Sunshine State, and it's a humor strip, kind of a buddy strip, about an alligator and a pelican in Florida, and some of the other characters that surround them. I grew up in Florida. I live in western New York now, and some of those cold winters, I'm really dreaming of those warm tropical breezes. So I came up with this strip that kind of takes me back there, if not really, metaphorically. And it's a fun little humor strip that I think a lot of people will really enjoy. You can see it. You can read it syndicated on the Go Comics website, which is gocomics.com. And then it's also posted on sunshinestatecomics.com.
Okay, great. We'll definitely have to get that out there in front of people as well.
That's my baby.
What are your thoughts on one of the Small Town USA conventions?
I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Huntington before. Back in the 90s, I did a store signing there with my friend Bo Smith and Clint McElroy. Okay. And I haven't been back there since, so I'm really looking forward to going to the show and seeing those folks again and seeing my friends again. And I think it'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite conventions to attend. With it being a single day, kind of a smaller con, it has a friendlier atmosphere to it.
Good. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I personally can't wait to meet you there. Coming to a close here. Once again, everyone, you can find Graham Nolan among many other artists and contributors to the comic industry at Tricon in Huntington, West Virginia. Again, that's at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena on June 2nd. Once again, tickets are $10 a piece. Kids 10 and under get in free. And we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody.
Absolute privilege to get to talk to someone like you.
Well, I'm just a regular Joe, just like you.
Yeah, well, my name's not on a bunch of comic books either. But,
maybe I should have been a plumber, like my dad said.
Nah. So, yeah, once again, thank you so much for this opportunity.